Good afternoon. I want to welcome you to Stanley Community College. My name is Jeff Parsons. I have the privilege of serving Stanley as the Vice President for Academic Affairs. And so on behalf of our Board of Trustees, our President, Dr. John Enemite, and the faculty and staff at Stanley Community College, I do want to welcome you as we celebrate and honor our graduates from our electrical line worker training program. So guys, we're very proud of you. You'll hear that several times today. This celebration brings us all together to highlight the success of our graduates as they embark on their careers as line workers. Graduation is a happy time in the life of the college, and we have our oftentimes when we think of graduation here at the college, we think of a large graduation ceremony that happens at the end of May. But one of the nice things about being at a community college is we get to do several graduation ceremonies throughout the year. We have line worker ceremonies, usually 3 a year or graduation ceremonies for line worker, usually 3 times a year. We'll have a couple of basic law enforcement ceremonies. We'll have a cosmetology pinning and graduation ceremonies, so it's and others. And so it's really exciting to do these other smaller events throughout the year to recognize the various programs that we have and the graduates from those programs. I would like to take a moment to just say thank you to all of the folks who help with this program. We'll call out those names a little later this morning, but there's a huge number of folks who are involved in the operation of the program, and a lot of folks who are in the background who you all probably never see or even hear of, who make the program possible. So I'm just sort of looking up the hill here, and I see a couple of my colleagues. I see Dr. Carmen Nunley, who's Vice President of Student Success. I see Kim Bradshaw, who's Vice President of Administrative Services. And so when you stop and think, I'm going to assume you guys never met them. Okay. Any of y'all receiving scholarships? That would have, in some part, flown through financial aid office, which would have reported to Dr. Nunley. Did you guys use any equipment while you were up there? Trucks? Spend any gas? That costs money, and so that would be that'd be Ms. Bradshaw back there. But the point of all that is, I could list off probably 50 different names that make a program like this possible. Most of whom you will never see or know. So just want to sort of acknowledge what goes on in the background there. Stanley Community College is blessed to have wonderful faculty and staff who enable these graduates to get where they are. Mr. Aldridge, who's up here on the front row, is going to be recognizing them shortly. But I do want to say we're very happy to have their talent, their expertise, and their dedication that enable this program to grow and operate at a high standard. But before we move into the recognition of those faculty and staff, there's a few things I'd like to share with you. First, I want to tell you a little bit about our line worker program. This is our 15th graduating class since we restarted the program several years ago to have over 350 hours of training in the program. This is a very intense and probably the most physically demanding program that we offer. This is our 4th class taught in partnership with the City of Albemarle Utilities Department. And so I want to give a big thank you to the City of Albemarle. I want to especially Jimmy Honeycutt, who's here and has been involved in really all of those classes since we began, and Randy, and I appreciate Randy and his work with the program. So this class wouldn't have happened without those 2 guys being out there with them on a day in, day out basis. I want to give a quick shout out to the different industry partners, again, some of whom you may see through the course of your class and some of whom you may not have seen throughout the course of your class that help make the program possible. There's the City of Albemarle, the partnership I just mentioned, Duke Energy. We have some representatives from Duke here this morning. Davie Resource Group, Globe Incorporated, Mastech, PD Electric, Pike Electric, Tar Heel Electric Membership Association, Randolph Electric, Utility Line Construction Services, Union Power Electric, and Utility Service Agency. So any other of those folks here? Okay. So, these folks will visit, they'll donate, they'll help us with things that we need, and so just want to acknowledge their work in the program. To the graduates themselves, a couple other things I'd like to say. One is that becoming a line worker is a great career choice with lots of opportunities. Again, some of whom you may not have necessarily thought of yet. You will make a real difference in the lives of your communities. There are a lot of people, especially the elderly or those with family members with special needs, who literally their lives depend on the electricity that you all keep running. We have some of those folks who are here with us today who know folks who are in those situations. And in those cases, when power goes out, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a threat to their life. And so the work that you all will do is truly a life-saving work, just as if you were EMS or the fire department. No illusions. You'll probably start work out of here as a groundman who supports the work of those who are working overhead, right? You're not going to walk out of here as the final end of what you're going to be. Or maybe you'll come out of here and you'll specialize in some work that's underground work. Over time, with additional training, you could move up the ranks. You could become a level 3 line worker technician, or maybe you'll go through an apprenticeship program with one of our partners, and you end up as a journey worker, line worker. Beyond that, there's numerous paths you could take. I'm just going to rattle off a few of those. You could become a safety officer or a training officer for a municipal utility like the City of Albemarle, or for a contractor like ULCS, or perhaps with Duke Energy. You could become a supervisor or a manager, or perhaps, I'm just looking out here at one of our guests, a public affairs and government affairs manager at some point. You don't necessarily think of those, but I rattle those off because I know folks who started as line workers and then moved to those other positions. So your career has lots of paths in front of you, lots of options for you. The thing that it depends on is that you're dedicated, that you have a good work ethic, and that you commit yourself to continue your education and your training, whether that's formal education or informal education, education at a community college like this, or education within the agency that you work for. But you can't stay where you're at because the fields are going to change, times are going to change, and you have to constantly be learning. Even if your goal is to be a line worker for the next 40 years, if that's a good goal, and if that is your goal, you're going to continuously train to do that. Who knows? You could end up as an instructor one day. You never know. I do want to urge you before I step away from the podium to stay safe in your job. I know that's been emphasized throughout your program, and I suspect you'll hear it several more times this afternoon. Follow procedures, stay safe, don't take shortcuts. Watch out for your coworkers. Take pride in your work, take pride in your team. Go home safely every day to the people who are waiting for you. These folks care. That's why they're here. They want to know that at the end of every day, you went home, and you went home knowing that all of your other team members went home as well. To the graduates and their families, so not just to them, but to you all, I want to say thank you for choosing Stanley Community College. Thank you for choosing our electrical line worker training program. We appreciate the trust you placed in us. I'm confident in the training that you received. It wasn't easy training. It wasn't pleasant training. It wasn't fun every day. I have no doubt about that. It's not meant to be. So, it's my hope that you take what you've learned here and that you plant it and that you grow with it. Make the world a better place, make it a better place to live and work. And so one more time, I want to say to you, congratulations. I hope you're the best. And I'll turn it over to Josh Aldridge, our Dean of Advanced Manufacturing, Industry, and Trades.
All right. Afternoon. So, like Mr. Parsons was saying, I'm going to recognize some of our faculty and staff that's helped out with the program. Hopefully we have everybody in here. So a lot of hands go into this program. Like Jeff was saying, a lot of folks you probably don't even know, never met. So I want to start off by recognizing the City of Albemarle again, Jimmy Honeycutt and Randy Burleson for teaching for us. So it's been a great partnership. Austin Smith, who's currently with students, he's not here today, went over the CDL and OSHA with y'all. Very important stuff. Donnie Hatley covered flagger training. Gary Hatley covered electrical distribution. Scott Shue did CPR, AED, and first aid. Ann Russian came out from NC 811 and did the NC 811 program with y'all. Mr. Balcom covered interview skills and resume writing. We want to thank marketing, media services, Mark Sample, Andre Burrows, and Emma Henson. and Nicole Williams, if Nicole's in here. Lastly, we want to thank Karen Russell. She's the glue to the program. She does a lot of work behind the scenes. She tries to keep y'all straight. She does it to every class. So you may not appreciate it until later, and you'll realize that a lot of stuff that you've heard is true. I can't tell you how many times I've had students come back to me afterwards and say, man, you was right. So just keep that in mind. But we want to thank faculty and staff for everything they've done in the city of Albemarle, and I think they deserve a round of applause. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Balcom.
Thank you. I'm Devin Balcom. I'm the Associate Vice President for the School of Advanced Manufacturing, Industry, Technology, and Trades. And yes, that all does fit on my business card. I have the honor to be able to not only tell you about the scholarships, but I actually get to be able to manage some of the scholarships for the students. And so one of the scholarships is a State Employee Credit Union Bridge to Career Scholarship. And that is opportunity for our line workers to be able to get about $500 each to go towards their tuition and fees. And I'm happy to say that all 7 of our graduates received that $500, which is helpful. I don't know how many of you got $609 extra money, but I don't. So anyway, we also had one of our graduates, Taylor Carricker, if he'll stand, received the Will Hughes Scholarship. Will Hughes was an electrical line worker student of ours in the past. He, not through line worker, but had an incident, I guess you would say, and his family started this scholarship as a means of giving back to the college, but also giving back to the line worker program. So please give him a round of applause. All right. So not on my list, but something that I can mention is that we also, right about the time of our last graduation, Duke Power awarded Stanley Community College $20,000 to use as what they call the Vibrant Communities grant in order to help our line worker program. And so as part of that grant, some of the money is going to safety equipment, and some of the money is going to the line workers to help them offset the cost of their training. And of course, part of the training, I mentioned $609 for their tuition and fees, but they also have to fork a little bit of early money for the safety equipment. And so this morning, they were all able to pick up checks to offset their entire cost of their tuition fees and equipment. Moving forward, we'll actually have a scholarship process for the remainder of the money to be given out, but we wanted to make sure that this class was able to benefit from it as well. So they all actually received another check for $384, I believe, right? So we'll have a representative from Duke Power that'll come in just in a few minutes and speak to you about that, or speak to you in general, but be sure to shake his hand as well when we get finished with this. All right, so I'd like to say a few words. And of course, most of the people that know me say that I don't know a few words, but I don't know what they're talking about. But anyway, Your 12-week line worker program or your training is actually come to a close. Back in January, y'all remember us standing up there on the line worker site on first day, January? I saw about this much of y'all's faces, right? Because this program doesn't spend a lot of time in the classroom. It spends time in the elements. And so we sat up there, and they probably sat there the entire day thinking, I wish they would shut up so we can do something or get in the heat, I was thinking the same thing. So, but during that time, we talked about many things, but this day probably seemed like it was forever away. 12 weeks we kept mentioning and talking about, and it's only 12 weeks, and standing up there shivering or sitting up there shivering at the time, y'all are probably thinking, I don't know if I can stand 12 weeks of this. But now that experience is complete. Over the course of your time, you've received a lot of information. You spent a lot of time in those climbing hooks, standing on that pole, right? You've heard time and time again about safety. You've been fussed at about safety, and you've been evaluated on safety. If everybody in this room hadn't figured it out by now, and these 6 guys who are sitting up here, safety is a major part of the conversation. Along with safety, you've heard about the brotherhood of the line worker and the importance of being your brother's keeper. It is now up to you to take what you have learned and put into action. You were told on day 1 that when you completed this program, you were qualified to start. Not be line workers, to start. To be newbies at an electrical company, a city utility company, or electrical service contractor. Your electrical line worker journey is only at its inception. Many of our graduates today are young. Many of you are young, right? For many years, you've lived under the rules of your parents. For the past 12 weeks, you've lived under the rules of Stanley Community College. Moving forward, you will discover that there are new rules from new employers or authorities that will need to be conformed to and followed. Some of the rules will match previous rules that you have learned. They'll seem familiar, but many will be different. Some see rules as something to be challenged. Others think that they will break the rules and ask for forgiveness later. But when you consider the risk involved with being an electrical line worker, there may not be the opportunity to ask for forgiveness later. It's important to understand that the rules are time-tested guidelines to save your lives and the lives of your line worker brothers. In this room, there are family and friends who want to see you come home in the evening. How many of you want to see them come home in the evening? All right. There are people now and in the future who will rely on you. Think of them and your safety as you consider the rules that you will be given. As you move forward in your line worker careers, you're going to hear words like responsibility, accountability, responsibility, reliability, and communication. All things that any employer is eager to see in their employees today. But for the electrical line worker, those abilities, those are things that are even more important because lives rely on them. You're going to be called upon at odd hours of the night to go out. You're going to leave your family and your friends, even on holidays, and times when you would rather be home with them. Your mind may want to drift to things that are going on in your family and friends' lives, things that they are doing. But it's going to be very important for you to be focused on the task at hand. There are lives that rely on you in the community. Some may end up getting to travel and work in other areas of the country, helping. And as we know, being an electrical line worker is an admirable profession. And there will be many opportunities for you to be successful and for your success to shine forth in the future. As students and graduates of SCC's Electrical Line Worker program, you are part of the community college family. And we look forward to seeing you become prosperous in your careers, and we're eager to hear of your many achievements. As you move forward in your professional lives, remember that your time here at Stanley Community College, remember the things that you've seen and heard here. Remember the lessons that you've learned. Remember the people that you've met and the lives that have impacted yours. know that those in this room, all those in this room, want nothing but the best for each and every one of you. Now take those lessons and all the goodwill and put it into action as you represent your families, friends, your classmates, Stanley Community College, and the members of your Electrical Line Worker Brotherhood. Let's give them a hand. I mentioned a few minutes ago that I was going to have someone else come up here and speak, and so I'm going to ask Mr. Joe if he'll come down here, introduce himself and his long title too, and say a few words to this graduating class and family.
Thank you, Devin. I'm Joe Crapster. I'm the District Manager, Community Relations Manager for Stanley County, as well as the surrounding counties. And I tell you, this afternoon, it gives me a lot of pride to be here with these 7 gentlemen graduating from SCC, knowing that they've picked a profession that has a lot of opportunities in front of you. You know, I came into this role with Duke Energy back in August. I'm a Rowan County guy, so right next door. And actually started out reading meters when I was at Catawba College as a sophomore. And read meters, delivered appliances. As some of you guys may remember, Duke Power sold appliances back probably up until the late 90s. But delivered appliances, then graduated on a Sunday and started with Duke up in Winston-Salem on Monday, and have spent time in South Carolina, Greenwood, Greenville, Charlotte before coming into this role back in August. But, you know, on behalf of Duke Energy, it's definitely a field that will offer opportunities. I know Duke Energy supports it. I look over here at Jimmy and Randy. I know the city of Albemarle, and Jimmy, I know you've been involved in the program for a long time, and I've enjoyed meeting you in my short 6 or 8 months in this role. Wanted to recognize too up here from Duke Energy this afternoon is Bobby Wilkes. He's the Director of Operations, not just for Stanley, but for the surrounding counties as well for Duke Energy. Something I heard said a few minutes ago, I mean, you guys, you know, you're young, you're starting out. I look at it as a lot like first responders. Don't forget the safety. I go back, I actually played football at South Rowan and Catawba College. And when I went back into this role, which I'm kind of out of Salisbury now, I'm sitting there with some of the line guys that are that's the supervisor right there in Salisbury, that we were on the football field together, 30 plus years ago. But there are opportunities, and I would say to you what you heard. You guys will have the skill set, but keep the integrity and the character as you go, because I believe that is one of the most important things as you move forward. So, on behalf of Duke Energy, we're glad to be associated with SCC. I know, as we heard, Karen is the glue that keeps it all together. And I know I've enjoyed working with Karen and the entire staff here at SCC. And I wish you gentlemen the best.
All right. It's that time. We're going to go ahead and present the certificates of graduation to the students. As I call your name out, if you come up to Mr. Honeycutt here, he's going to give it to you. And then remain standing over to the side. Afterwards, there'll be some moments for photos and whatnot. Sound good? All right. Taylor Carricker. Braxton Henley. Alexander McKenzie. Elijah McKenzie. Damian Orr. Austin Smith. And Kenneth Williams. All right. All right, I do. Oh, there you go. All right. Awesome. All right. What? Here you go. All right. I'm going to say it one more time. Stay safe, be smart. Don't take shortcuts because it can be dangerous. You have everything you need to stay safe and be successful. So I know family and friends want to come down and hug on and congratulate all their loved ones. I would ask that industry partners, folks from Duke, come down and talk to these guys. And we're gonna be dismissed. Thank you.